So welcome back everyone to Pass It On. Pass It On is Winnow's platform for chefs and hospitality leaders around the world to share real stories, insights and actions they're taking to tackle food waste. For those of you that follow us at Winnow, you'll know that we recently launched a global zero waste recipe competition, inviting chefs around the world to share their best zero waste recipe. We received over 150 entries, all judged by our zero waste culinary advisor, Wojtek Beg, and today we're joined by one of our top 5 finalists, Chef Christos Karageorgiou. He's joining us all the way from Thailand, where he's currently working as executive chef for Novotel Bangkok Platinum Pratunam. And yes, welcome. Congrats again on being on the top 5.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much for the introduction. Nice to see you, at least through the call, let's say.
Yes,
it's good to interact as well. Yes. Thank you so much. It's actually not just for me, but for the hotel in general, because it's a part of what we actually have. So yes, this is a small challenge, but again, it's good to know that we move to the right direction, right?
Definitely, so perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we have lots to talk about.
Sure.
But before we get into the dish and the recipes, I wanted to ask about what first got you into cooking. Can you take me along your journey and what inspired you to become a chef?
Yes, sure. Okay, just a small story, like a background story for my journey, let's say. So I'm Christos. Otherwise, they call me Titos. That's the short one. I grew up in a small town near Athens, I would say. It's like a very small town called Lamia of, let's say, 50,000 citizens, people. So it's a quite small place, very local, traditional Mediterranean, I would say, family. My actual talents were more in the numbers, I would say. I'm more on the scientist guy. But I like art. Yeah. I like art at the same time. I would say it was inevitable to just move on and actually follow the science. So I studied applied mathematics. So this is where my academic studies are based on. So I did the applied mathematics degree, and then I had the chance to do a research program in Milan, Italy. So at this point, I went to Italy, Milano. We started doing the research. It was all going great, but then situations happen, things change, let's say. So I had to reevaluate things.
Yeah.
I made a very wise choice of understanding what I really want to do in my life and what actually matters for me. And what matters for me is just however hard the job is, at least at the end of the day, I'm feeling happy for what I do. So I always loved cooking, let's say, on my spare time. So I tried this. Yes, it was not a very conventional way of like just moving from high school to going to a culinary school. So what I did is I tried cooking here and there, tried to learn from people. Basically, it was more of an observation technique, not that much of an academic follow-up, let's say.
Yeah.
So yes, I had the chance after this to just pivot my whole career and say, let's try something different. So what different is that I actually moved to Thailand just to learn more about the Thai cuisine, because I was very fascinated about the Asian cuisine and the flavors and all. I came here, so I did some consultancy at first, since I didn't have like huge experience back in the kitchen. And then I grew slowly. I had the chance to meet some very nice people, and people are the ones that really can give you the chance to grow. And for many people, I'm very thankful. So some of the guys that really helped me gave me a step to do a combination of what I used to do before. So I used to do research, and now I do it in the kitchen. So I used to do actually the first steps, official steps, was on R&D, so research and development, which is quite crucial to how I like to cook, how I like to think about food in general. So it was more of a, let's say, reverse engineering thought. So it was quite interesting. I grew within this area. And then I said, okay, the ultimate goal is to go with fine dining. I tried to do fine dining. I tried to join fine dining places. It's quite difficult. But then again, I was lucky enough to get a chance. So in 2018, I spent some time with Gaggan, which was at the time the #1 restaurant in Asia. So it was quite a big leap, I would say, from what I used to do before. For, let's say, in a matter of 2 years, I moved from a mathematician to be a chef. So I get a lot of experience from there. And then I had the chance to travel. So what I did, I traveled around the world. I went to Hong Kong. Then I moved back to Europe for Vienna. I spent some time there. Then I went to San Sebastian. And then I had the chance to come back to Thailand, since it was clearly calling me back, to be honest with you. It was something that I cannot avoid. Yeah. So I went back and I had a new concept, let's say, which was Haoma restaurant. At this point, it was an Indian fine dining. So I spent 2 years there. This is connecting to the whole story of why we do this podcast, because I joined a restaurant that later on went to get the first Green Star in Thailand, and it was voted the Asia Sustainable Restaurant from 50 Best on 2023. It has a huge impact on how we think about sustainability here in Asia, I would say. It's one of the
Amazing.
really well-known places. So it was a pioneer at the time. I
Cool.
was there.
Sorry, the restaurant?
Haoma. It's still there.
Haoma.
It's in the center of Bangkok. It's called Haoma, Haoma.
Amoa.
Yeah. So it's an actual fine dining restaurant where we used to, and they still do. They grow their own plants. They have the big tank that they grow the fish. We try to be as sustainable as possible. Every waste goes to a compost, and then we distribute to people who have, let's say, animals to feed. So it was a
Yeah.
very big project. Yes. So it was quite a very, very direct experience. This one I had with the terms of sustainability and
Yeah.
responsible cooking and dining. Yeah. So after this, yes, I had a fair 2 years, which was quite insightful for my side. And then I moved to hotels. So after COVID and 2022, and till this moment, I joined hotels. First, I went to Banyan Tree, which is a very well-known hotel here. And then I moved to Novotel. So for the past 2.5 years, I'm in Novotel Platinum Pratunam. And yes, so far I'm the executive chef, but I do a few more things. I'm very involved in the F&B projects as well. And I'm happy to say that I'm at this point in my career where I can combine both my love for cooking and my scientific background. Let's say it's quite interesting at this point. Yeah. So here
Amazing.
we are now. That's how we ended up here.
I love that story. I love that it's like the unconventional route.
Yeah, it's
But I
very
feel like that's
unconventional.
happening. I feel that's happening a bit more now. Like I
Yeah.
feel like before it was like you have to go to culinary school, like go
Yeah.
to the kitchen, and that's the only way. But I love that
Right.
you've been everywhere and kind of done everything.
Sure.
But yeah, switch from mathematics,
Yeah.
big switch. But it must help. Like you said, like
It helps a lot. It helps a lot. Yeah.
there's so much research that you need to do. Like it's quite weird.
Yeah.
You kind of went in with the research and R&D straight away.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like normally it's the kind of the other way around.
Yeah. I
But no,
mean,
it's very
yeah.
exciting.
It depends on people again. Some people saw the potential, so that's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say in the current position, the mathematics are also very connected to the accounting.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the point is that now we have all this P&L and all, so it's really helpful. I mean,
Awesome.
yeah, it's the number one skill we have to have at the point. Yeah, that's why it's.
And you're drawn back to Thailand. That's where
Yeah,
you're there
that's
to
another thing.
stay.
Yeah,
You must love Thai food then.
I
I've
love
never
Thai food.
been, but
Yeah,
I'd love to try.
really, you should.
I've
Yeah, you
never
should.
been. Amazing background. But
Yeah.
then I guess we should talk about the dish that you entered. Can you walk me through the zero waste dish that you entered into the competition and what was the
Okay.
inspiration behind the dish?
Okay. Okay. So the dish that we nominated, let's say, is called Tomata. So Tomata, it's coming from my language. I'm Greek. So Tomata is, as you may understand, it's tomato with a
Yeah.
different ending, right? So tomato, I would say it's one of the essential elements of our cuisine. It's part of the
Hmm.
diet. It's part of our culture. At the end of the day, we are Mediterraneans, and Mediterranean people associate a lot of things with this kind of vegetables, fruit, whatever you want
Mm.
to call them. So tomato plays a crucial part in our diet, and it's used in many different ways. What we do now is that we have 5 outlets. One of the outlets that we have is more inspired from my background, let's say, in terms of memories. It's a Mediterranean rooftop restaurant, which is called View, and there we do Mediterranean-inspired dishes that have originality. This is my take, let's say. It's not the classic ones. It's things that a Mediterranean person would actually recognize, but you don't usually find in Thailand. So
Hmm.
this dish basically born, I would say, from the tradition. That's the reality of it. It's not it's like a funny and nice story to say, but it's actually what we do with, it's a practice from theory to practice and tradition to evolution, I would say. So we take the tomatoes and we use them in many different ways. This is what we do in this dish. So we take, for example, in this dish, the tomatoes, which we do, you use different techniques. We either burn them, grill them, we use them raw, or we compress them and marinate them. We use different kind of tomatoes since not every tomato is perfect here in Thailand. We try to use the best quality of whatever is available at every season. So this tomato, we take the tomato and we do many different things with the tomato. For example, we take the tomato that looks really nice and we just nicely cut it and peel it and keep it fresh. Then we take, for example, the tomatoes that are not necessarily looking the best. Maybe it's scorched or whatever it is. So we torch them, we burn them, we grill them, and then we peel them out. We keep the flesh, the pulp,
Yeah.
which is still very, very flavorful. And then we take the ones that are overripe, for example, which many places would throw away. And what we do is we create a consommé. So we take the tomatoes, we make a blend, we slowly bring up to boil to a certain degree where you have the separation between fibers and the water content. And then we cool it down fast. So we create this kind of separation naturally without eggs, without anything. So then we extract the liquid and we marinate it with some flavorings to enhance the flavor with kombu, etc., etc. And then we take the watermelon as well. We do the rind condiment, I would say, which is, again, rind condiment is not something that's new. We use watermelon rind, for example, in Greece for many, many years and years. My grandmother usually, on summertime, used to take the watermelons, and after eating the pulp and all, then she would peel off the skin and then make dessert, sweet spoon, as we call it, and keep it for years. So I use the same technique. I soak it in limestone, which is a special calcium solution. And then what we do is we just cure it, and it's cooking, slowly cooking. It's more like how you do a lemon confit. We do this with watermelon. We use this as well. And then last part of what we use, let's say, apart from herb oil, which is a very common practice, I guess, in many restaurants now, which we use from the scrapes and the stalks. Apart from this, we do a small caviar, which is made from vegetable demi-glace. So what we do is we take all the vegetables and the trimmings that we have. We just slowly cook them till caramelize, and then we put them in a big bath along with some extra strong flavoring agents such as shiitake, kombu, and then we slow cook. We get this dark essence, I would say, because of the roasted and caramelized condiments that are inside. And then we strain, and then we make a solution with agar, and we make like a classic agar on oil caviar. So it's a dish that has many components, many elements. It's quite technique driven, because we're just an a la carte. We're not doing fine dining here, but this is more of my liking, I would say. I don't have many things that are more on the fine dining area, but this is one of the dishes that I really like to focus on.
Incredible dish. I'm looking at a picture now.
Yeah, because the point is that because that's a real story. We actually, it's not easy in hotels to understand this, but yeah, we try to do this step by step. So this is one dish. We have a few more dishes that we actually practice sustainability. But for now, I would say that this is my highlight as far as it goes with such a humble item as tomato, let's say, right? But yeah, this has story behind. That's the point. And this is born from what we do essentially back in my home in Greece. We take the tomatoes and we do the same things without the technique, I would say. We will use the overripe tomatoes, for example, just to grate them and put them on a toast and eat them. We will even make the unripe ones. We even make dessert from them. There's many ways you can use things.
Definitely. So I love that story and all the different components.
Yeah.
I really love consomme, like tomato consomme.
Yeah.
It's such a clear liquid. Whenever you taste it, so you always get surprised like how much flavor can be in clear liquid. But no, that's really smart, because like you said, I think a lot of places do kind of just throw away the overripe tomatoes because they think
exactly.
But love that. And what was it called? The caviar. That sounds really, really technical with the. So how do you make it into the shape then? You just how do you make it into the shape of the caviar?
So this is a basic technique. Okay, I will explain, because I don't know.
I'm learning on
I'm just saying. So what is happening is that you can use many jellification factors to create some kind of cell outside of every kind of liquid that you have. For, I would say, the most humble technique that you can do is one of the first things I teach my team as well, is that you take this, let's say, liquid that you have. You make sure that it has the right viscosity as well, because if it's very light, then you need to thicken it up a little bit. Then we can use some kind of thickening agent, such as xanthana, for example, or some kind of flour. And then if it's the right consistency, then we add agar, we blend it, we bring it to boil, let the agar activate. So agar is basically gellifying things, right? So before the liquid becomes a gel, this period of still being hot but not very hot, we take ice cold oil base, which is just oil, but it's very cold. And what's happening is that we do droplets of the liquid that falls in the oil. So what's happening, the liquid that has jellification factor falls into the cold oil, which is actually not mixing up with the water, right? Because oil and water do not mix. So what is happening is that it's freezing the outer part of the droplet and creates a cell. So the cell becomes a nice caviar. That's the technique behind it, right?
I need to try this at home. Well, if I have all the ingredients, I can really see your research brain working here.
Yeah.
Like this. But yeah, no, I've actually got your recipe. Is it? You
Yeah,
included
I
it in
think
the
we have
challenge.
the
Yeah, I
yeah
can see it with the agar blend till
yeah.
completely emulsified. I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds incredible.
Give it a try and let me know.
And then it tastes
Yeah.
like just like vegetables, basically, or like the
Yeah,
like the
basically it
carrot.
tastes like, I would call it, it tastes like a quite concentrated flavor enhancer. So
Yeah.
it's like, let's say imagine that you have like a very deep stock or flavorful stock that you make out of kombu and roasted vegetables. This is the essence. But again, this is a condiment. That's why if you see this, it's in a small portion because it's a bomb of flavor. So it has to bring a balance because the
Yeah,
whole dish is very flavorful, but has different direction, more of a light direction.
definitely. Sounds incredible. I'll have to try that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then still about the dish, but was there any data from Winnow that inspired the dish?
Okay, yeah, okay. When it comes to Winnow, we are quite new. I would say we officially ran since October, but I would say that we have our own, let's say, process before Winnow. But we are very excited to see what the new system brings with Winnow
Mm-hmm.
because we use the AI system, right? So it's even more elevated, I would say, and you can get more data. What we can see from Winnow is that basically, as I'm saying, tomato,
Yeah.
bread, for example, which is another thing. Watermelon is like is in the top 10, I would say, of our most wasted items.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it gives you a very good indication of what it's missing, what's going wrong, and what you can fix fast, I would say. And then with detailed reports, you can get more information. For this dish, yes, the direction was let's not throw all the trims of the vegetables because we
Yeah.
throw so many trims. Let's not throw all these tomatoes and let's not throw all the watermelon that we have on hand. Even if you see that you cannot use it, you can actually use it. So yeah, this you can see it through reports and it's very helpful actually. Yeah,
Definitely.
I
So
would say that
so you
yeah,
did kind
it
of
helped.
see the
Yeah,
tomatoes
yeah, of
and
course,
trimmings on the system, like being picked
of
up,
course,
and
yeah.
then
And there's photos as well, so you can see the photo of the tomatoes being thrown.
yeah, it's like
So
you
yeah,
see in the bin. No, could have made a
yeah,
meh.
that's another thing. Yeah, so yeah,
Amazing.
definitely. Yeah.
And then speaking of dishes, if you could have one final meal, what would it be?
Okay. So, okay, I saw this question before, and it's quite a tricky one, I would say. There is a few
Okay.
dishes that come in mind, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to answer this way. I would honestly want to say that I have so many memories that food and memories go together, go hand in hand. A bite of food can send you back to, let's say, decades back, right?
Yeah,
I would say that I have a lot of nice memories through food and I have beautiful memories from food and I would like to reimagine them. But to answer your question, for me, it would be more on with who I'm eating the food, not what I'm eating.
that's nice.
So,
Sweet.
well, yeah, to be very, no, this is a
And
very
who we
honest
can
approach.
choose.
Yeah, for example, if you want clear examples, for example, there is this thing that we used to do when we were kids. There was this undercooked egg, I would say, that we were beating up, and then our grandmother would put like leftover yesterday's sourdough bread, mix this up, and give to the kids. We were like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and I still remember. It's like a core memory. So
Really?
this is
Yeah.
this is one memory that I still have, for example. Or like I'm not sure if you know, there's a dish that's called it's called paputsaki in my country. It translates to little shoes. So basically,
Sweet.
there's many variation little shoes because it looks like a
Okay.
shoe. So basically, what it is, there is many variation of it in Middle East and Turkey, but in Greece, what we do is basically a different version of moussaka. So you take small eggplants, you just roast them, cut them half, and then you remove the pulp
Mm-hmm.
and then you make a bechamel with cheese, usually
Mm-hmm.
Greek cheese,
Oh,
and then
that
you
sounds
stuff
like
you stuff it with a bolognese inside with lamb usually, and then we do layers of bolognese and the bechamel mix, and
yeah.
then the eggplant that we scraped out, we just mix it with the bechamel for the final layer, and then we bake it on high heat. And it's crispy on top, and it's really a flavor bomb, Like it's like bolognese with eggplant and bechamel. So I guess it's like
Yum.
you
I know.
cannot get better from this. But yeah, I remember eating this with family. So again, for me, it's more about with who you share the meal. If I had an option, I would like to share whatever it is, but with family, with friends, with people I love. This is
Oh,
what food is all about for me, to be very honest with you.
that's
Yeah.
actually such a sweet answer. So it doesn't really matter what you're eating as long as it's
Yeah,
good.
honestly, there's not a clear thing for me. Yeah.
Is there anyone
Honestly,
in specific, or would you want like a big kind of table with all your
I don't want to make it very sensitive.
no
Le-
favorites?
Yeah, but what I can answer to you, and I think you will understand my answer, is that if I had the choice, I don't think that everyone that I would like to be there would be here, because some people are not here, you know. So yeah, it's about memories and reconnecting. So at the end of the day, as I mentioned, there is a few, let's say, things I have in mind, which even if I have a bite, I will go back. You know, memory kicks back, let's say.
I have the same
So
actually. Like
yeah,
whenever I eat something, I'm taken back to the last place I kind of had
exactly.
that flavor or that smell. But I don't know if everyone gets that, but it's something I've definitely noticed with
Yeah,
myself.
I think that's the case. Sorry if I extend a lot the interview, but for
No,
example,
I love it.
another classic. I just give you another example. For example, you know Greek salad, right? I'm
Yeah,
Greek, so Greek salad is a thing in
I
every
love
table.
Greek salad.
So what we do usually, like that's another core memory of happiness, is that when we finish the Greek salad, there is a leftover liquid from
Mm,
all these vegetables and the olive oil and the oregano, right?
yeah,
So we all say that the most flavorful thing, the most flavorful thing that you can have is like taking a bread that's grilled,
yeah.
like fresh, toasted, and then you just soak it inside
And
this
that,
liquid and then you eat it. So like a classic memory of mine is just fighting with other people, my friends, with my family, on who is gonna dip the thing first, you know, and like who's gonna take the best bite. So yeah, it's all about memories, you know.
all the
Yeah, that's another one. But yeah, I would say it's more about who you do it
no,
with.
honestly, I love those answers. No one's ever said that, so it's quite nice
Okay.
thinking a different perspective. The next question is about food waste again. Was there a particular moment that made you rethink how food waste is managed?
Okay, yeah, of course. I would say that every hotel chef that you will ask, they have similar answer, I guess. Even if I talk with friends of mine who work in hotels, it's the moment that they switch from another kind of establishment to a hotel establishment.
Yeah.
So for me, it was in this. I was working for this restaurant, as I mentioned before, which was, as I'm saying, green Michelin star. We didn't throw anything. We try our best to just make sure that everything is kept.
Mm,
And then I moved to a big operation hotel where things were being thrown away because they were displayed more than 2 hours, for example, on a
yeah.
buffet. And the point is not about, it's not a hygiene concern. The point is, okay, let's say you don't use it for the guests, but at least you can use it in a different way, right? But they were
Mhm.
not. So I was shocked. To be honest, it took me around, let's say 3-4 months to adapt, to understand
Mm,
what is happening, what is the problem, and how we can find ways to move ahead and do step by step actions to the right direction. Because in all honesty, what I was saying to them, it sounded to them like I'm crazy, to be very, very clear with you. When I was saying, why are you throwing the stems, why you throw the
really,
seeds, they were looking at me and say, you cannot do anything with this. What are you talking about?
really. They thought you
And
were crazy.
yeah, of course, of course. I was the crazy one because I was the guy who's coming from another place and not from hotels. Because everyone in hotels, usually, it used to be the case, and I hope it's not.
Mm,
Everyone was thinking that waste is part of life. Yes, in pragmatic way, in a realistic way, yes, you have a part of waste because it is what it is. But if you want to move to zero waste, you have to do efforts at least. You cannot just stand and keep throwing things away. And that's what made me crazy, to be honest with you. And I could not even imagine how is this possible. But yeah, that was a honest shock. It was more of a cultural shock because imagine me thinking that I was a chef for a few years, but they were chefs, but they have a different approach. So it's
yeah, definitely. I do think hotels is like a different ball game with waste.
yeah,
When you're in a restaurant, there still can be a lot of waste, but when it's in a hotel, it's just so many covers, so many outlets, so many
yeah,
venues.
yeah,
It can just kind of be scary, especially we can see in our data the amount of
yeah.
waste sometimes.
Of course, of course.
But yeah, no, I'm sure with dishes like the tomato dish, you must be like reducing your waste loads already um, at Novotel where you're
Yeah,
at.
I mean, we try our best. Yes, so far
Yeah.
we've done a few steps, but yeah, there's a room ahead, I would say.
Are there any other kind of actions that you've taken to reduce food waste, like with the guests or?
Yes, of course. Yes. So the good thing with Accor, for example, so I work for Accor company. So Accor has a lot of initiatives and a lot of audits. I would
Yeah,
say a lot, way too many, but at the end of the day, it helps you keep track of what you're
it
doing, what
does.
you're doing wrong and correct. So, for example, now, apart from Winnow, which we started working for a few months now, we record all the data from, for example, Winnow or even by ourselves into a
Mm-hmm.
big uniform, let's say it's like a global website from Accor, which is called Gaia,
Hiya.
GA. Yes, Gaia is the place that we see what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right. Right, it's the actual report place, so we can see what is the the baseline that we have and how close we are or not. So that's one thing. By ourselves, I would say, by practice, we reduced the food waste compared to 2024 to 2025 by around 12%, which is not huge, but it's something. It's at least a right step.
Definitely.
But yes, we look into reducing even more, especially with Winnow, and with people getting to understand more and more of what's wrong. So what we do apart from this, I would say we focus more on making sure that we do the training, the correct
Mhm.
training. We inform the guest. For example, we always every day we have on the buffet line on breakfast a small uh, sign that says how much waste we had yesterday, for example, so that people see
Really
this
put
number
the
and
away.
even get shocked. Let's say, yes, they can see, let's say 30, 40, 50 kilos of food, so they cannot understand. But yes, what we do is our steward team is very wise enough to just do the recording properly and just inform and update this every single day, for example. Another thing is that we have Green Key certification, which is another certification in terms of sustainability. So even when it doesn't come to food, but comes to the packaging, for example, we also very wise on how we separate the garbage and how we utilize them. We have found some kind of companies that can do recycling, for example. So we always move into this direction. Another thing we do is CSR, for example, social campaigns. The leftover bakeries of the day, we usually gather everything and then we give to families that don't have the ability to have food. We offer to orphanages. There is a lot of actions that we can do. All of the action together can have a huge impact, but if you just take one by one, yes, it will seem like not a big deal. But yes,
Yeah,
if you gather small, 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 at the end it gets to be bigger.
that's
So
true.
yeah, I think we try not our best, but we are in a good position to keep pushing. Yes, yeah,
Amazing. Yeah, I'm sure you're making incredible progress.
I hope so.
No, I can really feel your passion for like reducing waste. So everything
Yeah,
you're doing must be paying off.
I hope so.
Thank you for that. And then
Yeah.
on to the next section, talking about ingredients of success.
Mhm.
What would you say your ingredients for success are? I know you've had lots of changes in your career, obviously from
Yeah.
mathematics, fine dining, now hotels. What do you think's gotten you through all of that and made you so successful in anything you're doing?
Okay. Thank you for the compliment, but okay, I would not say that I'm successful in everything that I do. One, okay, just to give you the answer, because just to be very honest with you, it's very important to have a sense of accountability, right? For me,
Mm,
this is what I would say. This is one of my strengths, and this is what I really strive to make my team understand. Also, you have to feel it's not about passion only. It's not about, let's say, putting your creativity into a plate. It's about helping the guest to have a good experience. Of course, hospitality is one thing, but on the other hand, it's about owning and being responsible for whatever you do. This
yeah.
is very directly connected with sustainability as a concept, right? The morals of sustainability are the same morals of being accountable for whatever you do in life, right? So this is, for example, if you ask me this question directly, I would say that this is my number one thing that drives me and makes me keep on pushing every single day. There is,
Hmm.
let's say, a personal purpose that I want to get better and learn more, but
Yeah.
it's also the sense of doing things for the wider audience, for people
Hmm.
of next generation, for the people who really have issues and we're not aware of. And this actually is created by talking with people, by traveling, by experiencing. So it's
Hmm.
very important for me, and I would say a key ingredient for success in any case is being open to explore things that you're not usually doing in your comfort zone,
Hmm.
even if it's just observing, traveling, eating with people, talking with people, seeing what's the norm for some people, which in your way it's never a norm, right? So people,
Yeah.
for example, have techniques or use day-to-day practices that for you do not make sense, for example. And then from this, you either learn to adapt or either you choose to educate the people, right? Yeah, so that's a very important thing for me, a sense of purpose, in all
Hmm.
honesty, and being responsible on what I do in my life. So this is for me the key to success, and it doesn't have to do with cooking or math or whatever it is. It's about making sure that whatever you do, you're prepared to own the success and the loss, the failure as well. So it's it's a very tricky game, but at the end of the day, you have to be ready for everything. And this is the same thing with everything that has to do with environmental consciousness, with sustainability, with preservation, these kind of, let's say, big ideas that people cannot see in day-to-day life, because people
Yeah.
cannot understand that if you say with, let's say, I use Winnow and I spend this money, people from finance will come to you and say why you spend this money. The
Mm.
point is not, there's not an ROI in this directly, apart from the, okay, there is some kind of, let's say, logistic and accounting, let's say, benefit that you save some money. Yes, of course. But on the other hand, you should try to save something bigger than this, and not
Yeah.
just the money. And this is a very good example of my hotel, for example. In my hotel, we don't have an issue with our bottom line. Our expenses are quite well managed. So we didn't get to work with Winnow to reduce our costs, which is okay. Of course, we want to reduce costs, but this is not our main purpose. Our main purpose is to be ahead of our game and try to push the envelope and try to do things correct. That's what we try to do. Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Thanks for the answer. I really like how you said opening to explore new things.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's really important to kind of open yourself up to
Yeah,
all
of course.
experiences, and you'll never know where you'll end up.
You never know. Yeah, exactly.
But yes, thank you. And then kind of similar, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received and who shared it with you?
Okay. So this has to do with the culinary aspect of this, or just in general? It is life advice,
Maybe
or can
anything,
be
to be honest. What comes to your head first?
okay. I would say that I have gotten many good advice from people who I never expected.
Yeah.
But let's keep it more on the cooking world. I would say that I can give you examples of people who are chefs, for example, and have given me very nice advice. Again, it's a similar question to the previous one, because at the end of the day, we talk about things that get you better, right? So, for example, back 19, it was I used to work in the Indian fine dining restaurant, and we had at that time we didn't have any, let's say, recognition yet, and we had Chef Andre Chang. I'm not sure if you know Chef Andre from. He used to be in Hong Kong, Taipei, Taiwan. A very big role model anyway for people who are into cooking, but also have a scientific mind, let's say. So it was very niche for me as well. I saw him, he just walked in, he didn't have a reservation, so he just came with some other chef friends and he sit down, he had a dinner. And then when he finished, he came inside, we had all these kind of photos and all. So we were all very excited to talk to him. And he was looking at us, and then we didn't actually express what we had in mind, but he turned around and he said, look, he just said it by himself. And this is what has stuck with me. Say, look, you're doing great. You are already where you want to be, because he can understand our hunger to go more and push and get whatever we want to get in life anyways. Say, you are already there. It is a matter of timing. It is a matter of the right moment, and don't stress. Just keep on living the life that you live. Keep on doing what you're doing with the right purpose and the correct direction. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This is what he told us. This was a big boost for us, and this I've kept in mind for a long time. For example, it was similar period, but it was like probably a year ago from this. I was in Vienna, and I had a talk with I was working with Konstantin Philippou. So Konstantin Philippou is the owner and has the same name for his restaurant. It's a 2 Michelin star restaurant in the center of Vienna. So he's a Greek born, but doesn't matter. He's a very Austrian guy anyways, but he has a different style than me, let's say. I'm a very Greek person, so I have a very different style than him. So we had an open discussion one day, and we were talking about what is next, what's happening in the career, that I want to grow, I want to do this, that. And what he told me has, I still remember this thing, and I still reflect on this, and I even share this information to other people. He told me that in life, it's not about success, it's about leadership, it's about responsibility. When you want to grow, if you want to be a leader at the end of the day, you have to be ready to just be able to carry the weight of the outcome of the responsibility. And this is what defines someone who is pushing the envelope and who is front running for things and who is giving a direction. It's not about your ability to do things, certain things, but it's your readiness, let's say, to carry the responsibility of something happening wrong or right. Because at the end of the day, another thing that I keep on saying, for example, to my team, is that failures or mistakes is usually on the manager, and success belongs to the team. This is the way I see things. So it's a little bit of yes. It seems as if it's like I attack myself, but at the end of the day, it pushes you to be better every day and pushes your team to have a good role model, you know? So yes, that's what I would say. It's more, again, I would step on the same steps as, I would follow the same path as the previous answer, that it's all about responsibility, understanding, and being stoic, I would say, you know? There is some kind of stoicism hidden behind this whole kind of process of keep working, keep being good at what you do, progressing every single day, and at the end, things will happen. And the same happens with sustainability, I'm pretty sure. It takes time, but you cannot change things in one day. That's what I think. Yeah.
I love that. You said that success belongs to the team, but
Yeah, of course, of
the
course.
manager has responsibility. I've never heard that, but no, I really like that.
Okay, good to know.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
Then The next question is, what challenges have you faced in your journey and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, okay. So as a person who transitioned from a different field to cooking and then being a chef in hotels, of course, this moving from one to another was quite challenging, I would say.
Yeah.
There's in a good and a bad way at the same time. So this was the first shock for me. I had to find my steps. I had to find a way of understanding and working. And imagine that I had some kind of academic background, and many people are more on the physical and time to time experience within the
Hmm.
kitchen, which is very. It makes sense and it's quite nice because you create a wise profile. You become someone who has knowledge and understands and anticipates situation, right? Where I could not do it at first. So this was a challenge for me at first. And then I would say that it's about timing again. But the time that I really took big steps for me, for my career, it was at the time where we had, for example, things that you cannot anticipate, such as COVID. For example, COVID
Hmm.
was happening. I didn't stop working on COVID, but I had to adjust and find a way. We had to work sometimes without even getting paid, etc., etc. We had to work for to create the situations for other people to survive as well. For example, we were running a big partnership with a big NGO back in 2020-21 on COVID, where we used to gather and keep some of the revenue that we were doing and gather in a small, let's say, Kickstarter campaign that we did within the Bangkok area. And all the money that we were keeping, we were making meals, and then we were going to the slums, let's say, which there is a specific
Hmm.
area in Bangkok where it's more, let's say, people who really need support, and we were giving food and giving close to everyone, and we were doing this every single week. So this seems like a challenge, or seems like, oh, I was not, let's say, getting paid for what I was doing, but I was very happy to do things. It was a challenge with, I would say, only good point at the end of the day. It was a very positive experience. Again, things that you find usually in places like Thailand, especially coming from Europe, is that there is a language barrier, which is a big challenge usually.
Yeah.
But you either adapt again or you just have to face the reality. So what I did is that I actually can understand and speak Thai to a certain degree. So
Amazing.
that's a
So
good thing. Yeah.
you speak English, Greek, and Thai.
Yeah, and a little bit Italian, a little
Amazing.
bit
And
German,
Italian.
but yeah, I mean, we try and adapt, Yeah, but
Amazing.
at the end of the day, like for last year, for example, on this period, actually end of March, we had a big earthquake happening in Myanmar and Bangkok, for example, which was another shock. So things happen, you see what's happening in the world. The war is happening. There is so many sensitive situations happening around you, and you have to be
Mm.
ready to not just evaluate properly, but adjust again. It's about how mindful you are and how you can be proactive at the end of the day. Because proactiveness probably is the number one skill we should have as managers at the end of the day, right? You have to be able to do things before bad things
Mm.
happen. Yeah.
Definitely. Humans
Mhm.
do just adapt to kind of any situation that they're in, which I'm sure I was going to ask actually. So, what was your first day like in a professional kitchen? Like when you made
Okay.
switch, what happened on your first day? Must have been a
Uh,
big change.
I mean, yes. Okay. So what happened was that I was very excited. I still
Yeah.
remember I was quite excited. But what I was shocked with was that I was really keen on doing things and learning how to do things. And I quickly understood that I'm really working on a different speed and I do things very slowly compared to what I thought I was doing things. Like there is timeline, there is all this kind of mise en place, there is
Yeah.
this kind of prepping that I was not aware of. So I jumped. Actually, I was not that young because I said I had my studies and all. So I started around 25, 26 years old. So
Yeah.
I jumped into this around 25, 26, and then in a self standard, I looked like, okay, this guy, he's 25, 26, he must be having at least 5, 6 years experience, right? But that was not the case. So I had to actually spend some nights understanding and thinking about what I'm doing wrong and right, and just accept that in order to be successful, I have to be able to see the failure as an element of success. So yes, I was not fast enough, I was not good enough, but I was more stubborn, to be honest. And I knew
Um,
that if I kept going and if I used my skills to grow, I would eventually go there. So what I did is I tried to learn from the people who are very practical, technical, which was a
yeah.
thing I didn't have in my caliber, let's say. And then I started using my skills in terms of calculating, be more scientific. And then this was my big, let's say, help in order to progress. But yeah, it was actually frightening and very challenging at the same time. It was quite a fun experience. I still remember this.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I had quite a similar experience on like my first day.
Okay.
And I just remember like my legs were like swollen, my hands, and everything was just because I like similar to you, like I was doing more like sit down kind of job. Then on my first day,
Okay.
and was
Yeah, that's why.
body was like, what is happening? But then, like to be said, like adapting, your body does kind of just adapt to what's thrown at you, which is incredible. Um, but yeah, no, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the next section again, it's proof is in the pudding. What are your proudest achievements in reducing food waste so far?
Okay. I would say that relatively I don't have my experience in food waste is short compared to chefs that have at least 20, 30 years of experience. But I would say basically from 2019 up to date, I'm really into trying to do things better in helping and keeping a kitchen that's more sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
I will not say that I have huge achievements so far because it's a work in progress. So the proof is in the pudding, but the pudding is not fully cooked yet, to be honest, from my side.
It's not
I'm
ready.
very honest. But okay,
It's just slowly rising.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So coming to let's say achievements, yes, I have to be that I'm very proud about the Haoma concept, the fine dining restaurant that we achieved what we achieved, and we create awareness as well. Because from a small restaurants of let's say 40 seats, we created all this kind of new movement. Now even many more restaurants in Bangkok create their own gardens. They try to be more sustainable. We see more green stars being awarded. It's not about the awards, it's about the actual recognition that some people actually move to this direction, right?
Mm.
So we were the first ones to do it, and I'm very happy about this because we actually help things forward and the practices again. What we used to do is things I still educate people about because I'm really happy to share things that I see working. For example, the compost, as I was saying, we were taking all the garbage, everything left over from food, and we were trying to make sure that it's matter that can be used for either planting trees, as a soil condiment, or even giving food for big production for the pigs and all. So this is one part. Another part was the fish tanks that we used to grow within our own premises. So these things I slowly took and moved to other areas. For example, in Banyan Tree, Bangkok, the big hotel that we have, the first hotel I moved to, we had a project with Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai is like a north town, which is very green and very beautiful and very, I would say, forest oriented. It's like a small city that has a lot of forest around in Django. So we had a big farm there that we started a project of trying to source things organically directly from there. And then when it comes to food waste, whatever is not necessarily really needed to be extra and thrown away, we were finding ways to optimize. We were giving awards for this. We were finding ways to just award the best, let's say, employee, the most sustainable employee, or the
Oh, really?
employee who had, yes, small things.
Yeah.
Here in Novotel, we have so many initiatives, as I mentioned before. What I'm really happy is that from our incentive and only like our own process and practice, we managed to have food reduction last year. And we really plan to have more food reduction because we really want to achieve the baseline from Accor actually. And this is a good, as I was saying, we're not yet there, but we move to the right direction, I would say. And then again and again, education. So we run so many training programs. For example, we run another program which is online, but now what I do is basically I download this program that we have created with Lobstering. I think you know Lobstering. It's like a website that has a lot of training modules.
Which website is it?
Lobster Inc.
I have
So
I haven't heard of it.
it's quite a popular one for hotels. It's like a training module software. So this is a website basically, not
Yeah.
a software. Okay, you can call it so because there's application as well. So you get inside and then you can see there's many different kind of training. Not only on
Mhm.
food, can be on service, etc., etc. But on food, there is a big sustainability and plan forward movement now. So
Mhm.
what we did is we created a sustainability column, like a program, which I just did, and then we download this, and then we progress and we take this and we just educate our staff. I just take it from English into Thai language and then we do the training. Then we do
Yeah.
hands-on training and then we try to make them understand why they have to do this. And then
Amazing.
again, we have the restaurants, which, for example, yes, that's a proof in the pudding that we have a restaurant that is a Mediterranean restaurant. And it's very easy to say, oh, I source my things from Mediterranean countries, it's very expensive and then spoiled this, that, or the delivery brought like 30% spoiled items so I cannot use. But we still keep on trying to do things correct. At least
Mm.
we're in the right direction. And again, as far as I am here and I really want to, influence people, I will not allow them to just go back to the previous behavior, you know. That's my
Can't slip
it's
into old habits.
yeah, it's at the end of the day, sustainability, why I like sustainability concept is because it's connecting two key areas of human behavior. One is consciousness, being responsible, and the other thing that I really love is creativity. So the dish that we talk about, for example, today, the tomata is a very creative dish, but at the same time, it's a dish that's very flavorful, and it's one of our best-selling dishes. It's a very, let's say, more on the delicate fine dining direction, but again, it's a dish that we use scrapes, we use leftovers, we utilize things. It's a creative process that helps a lot, and doesn't help our minds also, it helps food waste as well. Like it's a win-win situation, right? That's
Definitely.
why, yeah.
And I think you said sustainability is one of the only things that combines like consciousness and creativity. I think that's like
Yeah,
with being a chef as well, it's so important to be
exactly.
creative and conscious. Like you can't do one thing or the other. Like you cannot be so creative, create this incredible dish, but if it's ruining the planet, like, what's the point of that? But yeah, no, I like
Yeah.
that. Thank you. And what was your team's kind of reaction to this platform then that you created?
Okay, my team's reaction is that on the first glance, they know that we have a lot of things going on. As I
Yeah.
mentioned, we have so many audits. I don't want to, maybe we would take like half an hour explaining to you all this kind of new audits that, yes, we have so many things happening and it's a lot. I pretty much understand them, but at the end of the day, whoever wants to see the challenge and see the potential of learning things, because it's not just a training that you have to fulfill and finish, it's about learning as well and getting to apply this information into your practice and get to be a better chef. Nowadays, and let's be very honest, the more knowledge you have about sustainability and practices of sustainability and reducing your food waste, but also making sure that your financials are proper, the better chef you can be and the easier it is for you to progress. So what I give, there is a small catch for them. I just give them the opportunity to understand that there is a real let's say process behind it, and they have the chance to grow as well, like
Yeah.
in their own career. They learn things, they can apply the things, and they can be rewarded for these things, not in direct money, but in a better career outcome, in a recognition later on, in making things better at the end of the day, right? Because yes,
Definitely.
that's the catch. But don't forget that we have hygiene audits where they also learn the practices of being hygienic, so they have a basic understanding first on this, on what to do correct, so they will not throw together plastic with food. This is like a first step, but then the next step is how to reduce this waste, how to do things correct. So yeah, it's part of what we have as a job, and nowadays it's part of our KPI as well. It's not, we don't play with this any day. Like this changed since I think last year. Yeah, so it's very important for us to achieve the food waste goals as well.
Amazing, thank you. And I just realized we're talking about your achievements, but you haven't mentioned this being in the top 5 dishes of the competition. What does it mean to you to have been kind of shortlisted for this?
It is great, and I'm really glad because it's coming from an outlet that we actually operate. It's not, I could easily just suggest you 10 more dishes that I did before in the that I know can work.
Yeah,
I would know that they're already, let's say, recognized from the guides and all, from the 50 best. I know we have some kind of recognition from certain dishes, but I didn't want to do it with this way. I
yeah,
want to do it in a way that makes sense and it's realistic, like from an outlet of a very busy hotel in the middle of a very busy city. So the challenges that we have are certain, yes, but at the same time, if we can showcase an element, and thank you for acknowledging that there is, let's say, there is something there, and I'm very happy for this, then it's a proof that we do something that actually seems to work. At the end of the day, I don't do it because I want Winnow or Accord to recognize me. We do it because we want to make sure that we progress, and this is the right step, I think. Yeah, my team was very happy. I'm very happy, and I'm more happy that we do it with just a normal a la carte Mediterranean outlet, and using a
yeah.
dish that we currently have in our existing menu. Is not a made up dish or some dish I used to have a few years ago that someone else made, So yes, more than happy for this.
Amazing, thank you. And then last few questions.
hmm
What would you say the most important tip you give to chefs aiming to reduce food waste is?
Okay. What I would say, and what I still say to chefs, is if you don't want to understand in theory, if you don't understand what we talk about in theoretical terms, you can go and live this situation by yourself. And what I mean is, I mentioned before, and this is one more reason that I really love staying here, is that You have places, for example, like Bangkok, which is it's a really big city that has both worlds combined. So you have the, let's say, the elevated, the first world, very technologically progressed, very elegant way of living and working and having a very nice and proper way of day to day being. And then you have another side which people cannot meet their needs. They cannot
Mhm.
really live. There is, okay, nowadays is not that big gap, but there is a small portion of people who really need things. And there is also this kind of very, I would call it, less educated portion of people who actually don't really care about food waste,
Mm.
about use of plastic, about use of metal. So you see this in a big way. It really shake you up. You can see things be thrown every single day. People don't really understand what it means to throw things. At the end of the day, when you talk to them, they think that when you throw the garbage in a garbage bin, since it's vegetable and fruits, this will just disappear in a few years. It will burn
Yeah.
out from the environment itself, and things will happen organically, let's say. So there is this huge gap of, let's say, education between certain portion of people. And this is, I would not call it like it's not a good thing, but it's a very proper, real experience that chefs can have. No need to go to a slum, but I mean, you can go and experience life. You can go and talk to people, see what's the practices, see what's wrong in real life, and see
Mhm.
how life itself comes around. So people, for example, they don't have the proper places to live, or the conditions are not proper because of partially not practicing sustainability correct.
Mhm.
This is coming to life. This is a real case. This is happening. Pollution is another thing, for example, that's happening. And we see this in my city, for example. There's a lot of issues. So chefs, I would say that they have to be mindful. They have to read more. They have to be open into listening. Yes, all these are good. But my real advice is to get out, walk,
Mhm.
see, experience, travel more, go to places that they don't think of going ever, and seeing how life looks outside their comfort zone, as I mentioned before. This is the only way to become more sensitive as well at the same time. On 2014, I think, yes, 14, I spent the summer with the Maasai tribe in Tanzania. So this time I was still on the science part, let's say, but I really loved volunteering and going and helping. So I kept some money and I went to Tanzania near the Kilimanjaro mountain. So there was a big tribe of Maasai people. Maasai people are still up to date, living as a tribe, like an original tribe. It's not like some made up houses and all. They still have
Yeah.
their own like cone houses that they use and all. So you keep on seeing acts of sustainability and how people think and how creative people are with the least they can possibly have. So this was a big shock for me. And this actually influenced a lot my decision of moving and doing things I really love, because you see people who don't have anything and they were really happy, actually.
Yeah.
They were really enjoying the process of living. They were really happy with nothing, but at the same time, they were very wise. For example, they didn't have the supply of water or food, so they have to be more smart on how they manage.
Mm.
In a modern world, you don't care about how much water you spend, right, or how much food you waste. But yeah, this is in our world. There is a lot of places where, yes, the surreal reality is happening. There's these things that you probably think in your mind that's not real, but yes,
Mm.
life is it's very strange. From place to place, you can see so many different things. So yeah, travel more, be open minded, yeah,
Definitely.
and
No, it makes sense. I
challenge
think
challenge your mind. Yeah.
in any job, like it's so easy to think like this is life, this is it, and you don't even
Yeah.
realize about what's kind of around you. But yeah,
Exactly.
definitely agree. Like seeing what else is out there will influence your work as well. But yeah, no, great tip. Thank you. And then last question, actually, are there any books, podcasts, apps, or shows that you would recommend for chefs looking to grow and be inspired?
Sure. Okay. How I will let you know how I started. For example, when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of TV shows, and then when YouTube came in, I used to watch more and more YouTube. So I like to cook. What I would usually do is I would Google or just YouTube things. So I
Yeah,
would want to make a pasta. I would just click on YouTube and just try to find the right video. So this period when I was younger, as I'm saying, before I start really professionally cooking, I bumped into this channel called Gennaro Contaldo. So it's an Italian guy, old guy, who is having some very nice classic Italian recipes. So up to date, he's still doing some videos on YouTube. He's actually the mentor of Jamie Oliver back in Italy.
oh
So
really?
he's speaking good English. So he has his own, like his own Italian way of talking and speaking and being very nice and all, and very making things appetizing even by the description, talking about things. So this made me, I would say, fall in love a little bit with this. So I would suggest people to just be open to see things, just explore things. I don't know what is everyone's favorite niche thing to watch when it has to do with food, but yes, absorb content, as I would say. But when it comes to visuals, another fun example is Chef's Table, for example. So I'm guessing many chefs are answering this kind of things similar, but it is true. Imagine how surreal for me it was that in Chef's Table, I had Netflix on my laptop and I used to watch the first season when it came out. So one of the last episodes, it was Gaggan. So Gaggan was, let's say, the big molecular guy of Asia, the guy who brought the molecular cuisine in Asia. They created this new movement. So it was looking so cool and so interesting. He was based in Bangkok, not India. He's an Indian guy. So I was thinking always, I was saying like, if I ever have the chance to walk by this place, it would be amazing. It would be like a dream come true, because you just watch this beautiful production and all. You see the insides, the kitchen, how it looks, how the people think about food. And then as you asked me, for example, I was asking myself, like, how this guy is doing this? What's this technique? How to create this sphere or whatever it is? And then this was in 2016, and 2 years later, I was working for him.
Wow.
So it's like really complete, surreal experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know if it's manifestation or whatever it is, but yeah, if you believe in something,
No, I
at least
believe
you
in
have a
that.
chance. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, in terms of visuals, yeah. Now when it comes to books, there's a lot of really good books to start or get inspired. But for me, in personal level, I would say that I got very inspired from two books, basically. One is the one that I really used, not at the start of my career, but in the middle of my career and on, the Noma's fermentation guidebook, which is, yeah,
Classic.
of course, classic one. As you know, I get this really helped a lot in creating different kind of fermentation techniques. And another one is actually the book that is called Octa Philosophy by Andre. So Andre Chang is the same guy I mentioned. He came to eat at our restaurant. Imagine this. No, imagine the most amazing thing. So this guy came to our restaurant and we had a dessert that it was okay with the creation, say, was inspired by his own dessert. He had a dessert in his own book. So he got his idea of making, let's say, a sneaker based, let's say the base of the flavor compounds. It was like a sneaker bar. So it was chocolate, it was peanuts, etc., caramel. So we took this idea and we created in our own, we gave our own take, let's say, because it was an Indian fine dining restaurant. So when we came, I actually asked him, is it okay if we, because we came and this dessert was looking reminiscent. It was quite similar to what he made. It's not
And you
copy,
thought he
but
was
yeah, we even
not
asked him.
copying.
Yeah, he say like, and he was really kind, and he mentioned that he's really happy to see people, getting his ideas and even changing things, even getting things better sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a compliment, but it was another surreal moment. Imagine I'm studying this kind of dishes or trying dishes by myself, and then just out of nowhere you see the guy just coming eating and actually eating something that it was inspired by his own book. So yeah, life is crazy.
I
I
don't know
mean,
how
I don't
that would.
know.
How would you feel if someone was making a dish inspired by your dish? I think I'd be happy. I'd be like, wow, like
I mean, it has happened, not a lot, but it has happened sometimes. So I'm more than happy, honestly, because
yeah,
again, there is chefs, and I think you will understand what I'm talking about because you've worked in kitchen. There's the people who actually love to share things, and there's
yeah.
people who create this kind of ownership of things and they don't want to share things. I was okay, my character is this way, but I also was very happy and very lucky to meet people that overshare actually. Whatever they know, whatever insights they have, whatever tricks they have, they were very open to learn and share.
Yeah,
And when you ask them why you share so much, the answer is very clear. And this is the answer I have. You know what's the answer? The answer is that I know what I know now because someone else overshared to me,
it's
you
true.
know? So I'm very happy if people get inspiration, of course.
I know what you mean.
More
There
than
are the sharers and the people that don't wanna share their
yeah, I
tricks.
mean, yeah, it's another generation. I don't know, but yeah, for me at least, it's like it's a joy to see people progressing and actually apply even the ideas. It's okay. Yeah,
Definitely. Thanks for sharing. Love that
yeah.
story. But yeah, that wraps up all the questions.
Okay, great.
Thanks so much for joining. I really, really enjoyed hearing all your stories. Really, really
Thank you
amazing
for
journey.
having. Thanks.
But yes, congrats again. We will reveal the winner at the end of the month.
Okay, great.
You'll be notified for anything then.
Okay.
But yes, did you have any more questions for me or?
I mean, I'm okay. First of all, thank you for this talk. Okay, I'm pretty sure it took a little bit
I
longer
hope you
than usual,
enjoyed.
but it's okay.
It's good. I like it. You get all the stories.
Yeah, I don't usually have time to talk about this kind of things. That usually there is no context where I will sit down with someone and talk about my
Yeah,
culinary journey. You know, it's not a usual thing for me, but it's a joy. Like I'm really happy, and it's not about question. I'm not sure what is the progress from here on because I'm pretty sure that you have things in place and Winnow is supporting this. And I want to ask what is the, not the end goal, but what is the progress you see from this? What is the actual effect from growing? I'm guessing you do podcasts and then you keep growing an
definitely.
audience and this creates awareness, right? What
Definitely,
is
this
the
creates awareness. Like I said, this is kind of a platform to inspire all other chefs, like people that, not
great?
just chefs, but all hospitality workers. Anyone that hears your advice, any stories, they can just quickly learn, take
Yeah.
that on board to their kitchen, hopefully inspire them to use Winnow as well. Because a lot of people don't
Yeah,
really
sure.
expect waste in I know a lot of people just refuse to believe they have any waste. But obviously like Winnow opens up their eyes, and then once you see the data, see the numbers, you kind of can't hide from the truth. So yeah, kind of that's my not my goal, the company's goal. But also my goal to kind of inspire chefs
Yeah, yeah.
everywhere to reduce food waste.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, thanks for your time. Really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, me too.
And I hope you did too. Yes,
Sure, sure. I
congrats
did.
again.
Okay.